Hi, my name is Celine. This is my first ever knitting podcast. Technically, it's my second. I filmed this whole thing once, and then I realized I had stuff in my teeth. So lesson number 1 learned, always floss before you do this. Anyways, that's an awesome way to introduce me. My name is Celine, and I am a knitter. Woohoo! I'm thrilled to be here. Can you tell? I'm also a little bit nervous. When I filmed this the first time, I was out of breath the entire time. So hopefully I'm going to get better at that part. So I've done this all before, so I kind of know my way around it. But I'm just thrilled to be here. I love knitting, and I love talking about knitting, but I really had nobody to talk to about it. I used to do it on Instagram, like I would just kind of post on my stories for my friends who really didn't care. They were very supportive, but they didn't care. And then I deleted Instagram from my phone for my mental health, and it's been amazing, but I have no one to talk to about my knitting. So now I'm talking to you. Well, to my phone, but I guess there's people on the other side of this whole thing. I am a little bit about me first. I'm an actor. I live in New York City, in Brooklyn to be specific, and I also tutor. And I spend a lot of my time knitting. Subway time. Sometimes I knit during a tutoring session. Before I have an audition, I will be knitting. So I have a lot of time to knit, but I never felt like I was productive enough to make these videos. But then I realized I don't care. I'm gonna just kind of film these when I can and when I have stuff to say. I don't think I need to feel pressure to do it every month because to be honest, I have no idea if my output is enough to speak about, but I'm just excited to be here. I'm actually thrilled to be here. I love knitting content. I consume a lot of it. And so I just always wanted to do this, and now I am. Okay, so I'm probably gonna follow your traditional format. I'm gonna start by telling you about some finished objects, in this case, object. And then I'm gonna tell you about my whips and some plans, and then maybe I'll talk a little bit about what kind of content that I'm consuming. I guess I'll tell you about what I'm wearing first. This is a modified Maggie cardigan by Petite knit. I really wanted a red cardigan. I just wanted to be like everybody else. But I think a lot of knitters can relate. When I see a trend or I see something in the store that's knit or that I could potentially knit, I am so resistant to buying it now, which I guess is good. Because I buy less stuff, to be honest. But yeah, I want it to be like everybody else. This is in a Drops baby merino, I think. It's a beautiful red. And then these buttons are amazing. They're vintage. Can you see it? Can you see the button? Oh, it sat on my pillow, which I crocheted, by the way. Probably need to make a new one. It's getting a little rusty. But these buttons I got at the, what's the big yarn festival in Kingston, New York? Rybka? I didn't buy any yarn there. It's too overwhelming. Pet a lot of sheep, and I got some buttons, and these were one set that I got, and I love them. Okay, here we go. Coming up, my first finished object. It is the Robinson Wrap cardigan by Handmade by Florence, and I love this thing. I really knit it just in the nick of time in terms of me wearing it. I think I finished this sometime in March. I think I knit this in a size small, but I did freak out a little bit. I tend to often try on my stuff mid-project. I will often block it mid-project because I just like to be sure. I like to see. It also makes me excited to keep going. And Florence does say this is a tight-fitting project, so size up. And she wrote an amazing, perfect pattern. I just got scared. So I ended up knitting a few more rounds of increases or sets of increases. Couldn't tell you how many. I didn't write it down. And I don't think I actually needed to be honest. I guess I'll put on a clip of me wearing it over here. Wow, girl, you look so good, girl. Yeah, shake that thing. Doesn't she look amazing? It's me. But you might see in the clip, there is a little bit of extra fabric in the underarm area, but it doesn't bother me at all. I think it's still gorgeous. It's just a little bit less tight than maybe the pattern photos or etc. I also added twisted rib instead of regular rib. It just wasn't looking very good. For me, it depends on the yarn and also the type of rib. 1x1 ribbing on most yarns for me doesn't look that great, but on some it does. And then on this particular combination, which I'll tell you about in a second, the twisted rib just looked a lot better. I think I only twisted the knit stitches, so I think that's called half twisted rib. But I really like the way that looks. I think it looks so clean. I love this cardigan. I splurged on the yarn for this. I love knitting for Olive, but of course it's expensive. But I think I was having a bad day one day and I said, you deserve this. So I got 4 balls each of the Knitting for Olive Merino and Mohair in the color cream. I'm out of breath because I'm so nervous and excited. This is what's left. This is 30 grams. I even weighed it for you guys. Can you even believe it? This is 30 grams of the Merino and 9 grams left of the Mohair. So I'm sure I'll do something with this. I don't know what, but something. And I had used other Mohairs before. I'm not like a Mohair lover, but I do think it adds a beautiful texture. I had used the Drops Kid Silk and the Drops Alpaca, brushed alpaca. I don't know. It's their alpaca. Their alpaca mohair. And they're all right, but I definitely do get a little itchy. Not itchy enough to where I don't want to wear the garment or can't wear the garment, but itchy. Not with this. It is amazing. They were not lying when they told us how nice it was. I think I could probably wear a hat of this. I don't know that I would because I'm still wary of it, but this is worth it. It's totally worth it, in my opinion. So yeah, I knit this just in the nick of time to get a little bit of wear out of it before the season started to change. I might be able to wear it once more because the weather's a bit fickle here, but yeah, no matter what, I'm gonna get a ton of wear out of this when fall and winter comes around this year again, as it is wont to do. So yeah, that's my finished object. I hope you guys like it. I feel like a little ballerina when I wear it. I get a lot of compliments, which is pretty nice. And I just love it. That's it. All right, and now we're gonna talk about my whips. I have 2. I'm a pretty monogamous knitter. I think you'd call me a project knitter. The process of knitting is so fun, but really I'm in it for the end result. So, and also I don't like to have a lot of yarn around, which is antithetical to what knitting means, because no matter what, you're gonna have extra. You're gonna have scraps, but not only do I not like having a lot of extra yarn, I also don't have the room for it. I'm in New York City, so things are tight. So I don't have any, why am I even saying this? Oh, so I don't have a lot of whips normally going on because I don't have extra yarn hanging out. I don't even have 1 sweater's quantity worth of yarn right now in my stash. But I do have 2, sort of. So the first is this. It's gorgeous. It's the Dappled Lace Raglan by James & Watts, but I've made some modifications. I'm pretty proud of this because not only is the pattern just by itself, this lace, perhaps the most, intricate thing I've ever knit, but I've also changed it quite a bit. So this is, like I said, the James & Watts, the Dappled Lace Raglan, in this is Knitting for Olive Pure Silk. I love this yarn. It's probably my favorite summer yarn. When you wear it, it feels like you're wearing nothing. It's the most amazing thing. So I've knitted quite a few garments out of it, including a vest top. I think it's called the Vest Claire, or Vest Taipei. I'll get back to you on that. I knit one of those for myself and had almost a full ball of yarn left over. So I just said, I'll start this. There was this girl who's an acquaintance of mine, just some girl I see around, to be honest, who I think is really pretty and cool. And she, on her Instagram, was wearing a cardigan that was store-bought, but it was lacy, and it was this kind of shade of beige-ish. And she just looked amazing in it. And I said, I want to make something like that. And I scoured the internet. I didn't look that hard, but I couldn't find anything that was a cardigan where the lace didn't look a little not too old lady-ish, because unfortunately lace can do that. And then I had James & Watts' patterns just in general on my radar, and I knew about this one, but I said I wasn't sure if I could modify it to make it a cardigan. As you can see, I did. This took a lot of tries. I have knit this ball of yarn at least 3 times through and then had to unravel, and so this is the 3rd time. And then, other times of just knitting parts and then realizing I effed up and couldn't fix it or didn't like the way I was modifying it. So I'm knitting the size small, but then the most adjustments I made obviously were to these front panels. I basically just stopped increasing early. I tried a lot of things. Actually, the end result was I just needed to do something really simple, which was stop increasing a few rows early so that the lace would work out and it wouldn't be too big in the front. because obviously if you increase in the front as well as like you have like an extra set of increases kind of, if you think about it like that, maybe 2 extra sets, so you can't really like, anyways, it doesn't matter because it worked. So one of the reasons I started this knitting podcast was that I wanted your advice, which was, how many more balls of yarn do you think I need? This, like I said, is a little bit less than 1 full ball. I have about like 2 little balls about this yay big, so it'll last me like a few rows, but not nothing. Do you think 2 is enough to finish? I want to knit long sleeves and just like slightly cropped. I'm pretty tall, I'm 5'9", so cropped on me is probably full length on one of those little girls. Yeah, do you think 2 is enough? Please say yes. I don't want to get more. Like I said, I do not like having extra yarn around. Necessary evil, but if I can avoid it, I will. Anyways, I'm just thrilled for this. I think I'll probably be able to finish it in this month. It's actually quite fast, which I guess you wouldn't think so, but it goes by. It goes by. And I just can't wait. So that, like I said, is the modified Dappled Lace Raglan. I just think it's a gorgeous pattern. Hey, also this color, you see it in the ball, you're like, okay. Like for my skin tone, it's not screaming that it would be flattering, but there's something about it. Don't tell me if I'm wrong. I think it looks really good. I think there's like a nice sheen to it, and then like layered over the skin or over like a white t-shirt or whatever. It just looks gorgeous. I'm just really happy with it. So I can't wait to have this done and wearing it. That's my Dappled Lace Raglan. And then my other whip is quite small, but it's so freaking fun. It's the Rybka pouch, which you probably have seen by Rat and Sea Witch. She has a name that's Polish, I think, that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce. But hopefully you've seen these before, and hopefully you've made these before. If you haven't, I highly recommend them. This will be my 3rd. So I've knit 2 before, same size, which are perfect for like an AirPods case or a lip balm. And basically you knit 2 of these little guys, these little fishies, and then you connect them and you fold the edge over and put a little string in there and I-cord in there, and you've got a little pouch. And they're just adorable. And I started watching the show Arrested Development while I was knitting these 2 nights ago, and I watched 3 episodes, and this is what came out of it. And then probably another episode for the finishings, I would say, at least, because kind of crocheting around the edges and all that stuff can take some time for me. So between 4 and 5 episodes of Arrested Development, and you've got yourself a perfect gift. I put little candies in them and then gave them to my friends, which is what I'll do for this, I think. This is for my friend Haley, who I'm going to her house for Easter, and I'm going to give these to her as like a hostess gift. I'm also going to knit one for her husband, Mike, and I'll tell you about that right now. So this yarn is a Malabrigo yarn. Couldn't tell you much more about it than that. I just remember that it was Malabrigo. And even that, I'm only about 95% sure. It's gorgeous, though. Beautiful purples and pinkies, like silvery gray. Yeah, there's a lot of my hair connected to this stuff. I got it at Knitty City. So like I said, I live in New York. I'm in Brooklyn, so Cleo's yarn shop is quite close to me, and I love it there. If you ever come to New York, if you live here, and you want to have a good time, go to Cleo's. I love their events. I love the vibes in there. They have a cafe. It's just a great spot. And there's fun stuff to do around there. The library is near there. There's some good coffee shops. But this yarn is from Knitty City. I don't even know why I started talking about Cleo's. Probably just because I love it. And then this is a Drops Kid Silk in the color 56. This was left over from my porcelain sweater, which I'm going to talk about, I think, in a video idea I have. And then this I knit some hats in, and then just had like the small amount. But that's what's great about the Rybka pouch. First of all, you can knit it however big you want it, like however long you want it to be for like pencils. But also it takes up so little yarn that you don't have to like worry about if you're going to have enough or not. And there's gram weight measurements as well. And then the other one I'm going to knit for Haley's husband Mike is in this gorgeous yarn. I don't know for sure, but I think it's called Yin and Yang. And I used the rest of the skein to make a Musselburgh hat for my dad for maybe like last Father's Day or something. And I think this yarn is so fun. If you haven't seen it before, at least from what I remember, they come in pairs sort of. So there's this one, and then there's one where the colors are reversed. So the main color is the yellow, and then the blue is like little. So this is obviously not that. That's its sister. And then the names are like Let Them and Eat Cake, and so they go together. I just love that stuff. It is expensive, but it's a really nice yarn. Like the Musselburgh hat that my dad has is a really nice hat. So I'm gonna knit a little fish for Mike, and I hope he likes it. I have no idea what you like, if they're useful or like if they are functional, but man, are they cute. And they bring smiles to people's faces, so I don't really care. And that's my other whip. Okay, and now I'll tell you about my future plans. I'm not a huge planner. Like, I definitely have things I'm like thinking about, but like I said, I don't like to have yarn sitting around, so almost none of my plans are concrete, nor do I often have the yarn very far in advance for them. But I do have some ideas that I'm pretty positive I will be knitting. The first is this. So this is some yarn. No kidding, Celine. This is some yarn I have. I've had it sitting around for a while. So initially it was actually the Gro Hat, but I unraveled it. You know how they say it looks like ramen noodles? Can you see anything more ramen noodly than that? Like even the color. So I had knit the Gro Hat. Gorgeous pattern. You should look it up if you haven't. I've knit 2 of those. One is now this and one is my mom's. But this looked terrible on me. I don't know if you can tell, but like that color, it's not doing much for me. Also, the Gro Hat has like little petals, kind of. It looks like a little vine growing. It's stunning. But in this color, it looked like a loaf of sourdough bread. It just, you know how you can cut little flowers into sourdough? It looked like that. So it just wasn't working. So what I'm going to do, after much hemming and hawing, is I'm going to dye it navy. I have the dye already. I've never done that before, so if you have any tips, I guess leave them in the comments. So I'm going to dye this navy and knit a ribbed, probably a hipster hat, which I've knit before, for my sister's boyfriend, Tim. Hope you like it, Tim. Hope I knit it. So that's what's coming up. It won't be very seasonally appropriate, but it's really nice to have something small to knit on. Like I said, well, maybe I said this, I don't remember. I knit a lot on the subway, and so having something small is really nice to have. Yay! Okay, and then my last plan, I'm gonna knit with either one of, come on, Celine, you can do this. My last plan, I'm gonna knit with either one of these balls. These balls of yarn. This is knitting for olive silk in lemon curd. Yep, and this is knitting for olive silk in raspberry pink. Both of these came from other projects. This was a tee by Ysolda. I think it's called the Moonset tee I made for my sister. And this was another one of those Mochi knit patterns that I made for my friend Sarah. Both of them turned out lovely. But I have like about a ball's worth. I have more of this in my little cabinet of each. So I'll probably need to buy at least one more ball of each. But what I want to make is a pattern by Starcrossed Knits called the Rosamund tank. I believe it's in testing now, and so I just can't wait for it to come out because I love her patterns. I don't know why I haven't knit one of her patterns yet. I love every single thing she makes, but maybe just like nothing was right at the time that she released it. But I do plan to knit the Rosamund tank and more of Starcrossed Knits' patterns. This is like it looks to be a very simple kind of like, it has gorgeous like fitting, I think, but it's a tank top with the straps or this garter stitch. I'm looking at a picture of it right now. This like garter stitch, lacy, snowflakey, floral thing going on. So I'm leaning towards yellow, but the pink is gorgeous too. So one of these will become a Starcrossed Knits Rosamund top, and I can't wait. Like I said, this is to me is the perfect summer yarn. The time it takes to work a yarn of this size, tiny, is totally worth it to me. I don't mind that stuff. Somebody else who I watch on YouTube said something like, knitting stuff with a smaller gauge takes longer, which is kind of a good thing because then like knitting isn't just about the product, it's also about the entertainment, which is partially why when I pay a lot of money on yarn, spend a lot of money on yarn, I'm like, well, think of how many hours of entertainment I'm getting out of that. So the longer stuff, it really doesn't bug me at all to spend a long time knitting something. Okay, so that's all the normal stuff. I thought since this is my first episode, I might tell you a little bit about me as a maker. So I'm looking at my own Instagram to see when I started doing this because I actually don't remember. I started embroidering. That was my first like foray into crafting. And then 156 weeks ago, I was crocheting. I'm looking at my Instagram story highlights. And then about 120 weeks ago, how many years is that? like 2 and a bit. Don't ask me to do that math right now. I am good at math, but not right now. About 120 weeks ago, I was knitting my first things. So I started embroidering, then crocheted, and then knit. I actually have some things I embroidered because I thought it'd be fun to show you. When I started embroidering, I was fully copying the designs of this brand called Lingua Franca, which if you've seen before, they make really cool like sweaters that have like fun sayings and stuff like that. And for a while they were making a lot of like Broadway merch, and like I said, I'm an actor, so that was on my radar and I thought it was so cool. So I was just copying, and that's one of this. It says vote. Very important thing to do and to have the right to do and have easy access to do. And that's all I'll say about that. I love this though. Really, you can only wear it like 1 month of the year. Well, no, there's a lot of elections. I should probably wear this more. But I think I kind of slayed, to be honest. But then I did make some things of my own, coming out of my own little noggin. My family has had 2 golden doodles. Yeah, we're just regular. We're just so like everybody else. Whatever. They're an amazing breed of dog. One of them is no longer with us, Lola. She died on my birthday. Isn't that a fun thing? Fun fact about me? She was an amazing dog. She was a big golden doodle. Then we have Scout, little. She's a mini, and she is very unique. I loved these dogs. I loved this dog. Love this dog. So that's what I made. As you can see, this has been finished for like years. I just have it sitting in my cabinet. I should probably like do something with it because I love it. But I made a couple of these. One was for my mom, one was for my sister. And God, are they cute. Anyways, I haven't embroidered in a while. I do it every so often. It's a good thing to do for gifts and stuff. Yeah, and then I was crocheting, and now I'm a knitter. And I will never stop. So knitting is how I spend, like, in terms of like my hobbies, knitting is number 1 by far. I'll occasionally crochet the odd thing, I'll embroider the odd thing, but knitting for me just makes garments that are the most wearable in my everyday life. Crochet is so fun, and I like how creative and like freeform it can be, but the stuff I was making when I was crocheting just wasn't as wearable in my wardrobe. Versus like this, people most of the time, people who know I knit are like, did you knit that? But they kind of ask me that about anything that could potentially be handmade. But to me, this feels like what I'm wearing now, feels like it doesn't necessarily like scream handmade. And if it does, that's cool. But that's kind of what I was looking for in my fiber arts. So that's me as a knitter. My last section will be content, but I actually have to tutor in 2 minutes. So I'm going to stop this and then I'll come back. So if the lighting changes, or if my mood changes, because I have to tutor for 2 hours and talk about like math and stuff, that's why. See you soon. Hey, it's me again. God, I hope I'm in the frame. I guess I'll find out. I've just spoken about math and stuff, etc. I tutor mostly like the SAT and the ACT, but also I just tutored a girl in AP pre-calculus. So we were talking about like sine and cosine. Don't you love hearing about this? I wanted to end this video off by just talking about content, because I love hearing about what the girls are watching and reading. I read a lot of books and I watch a lot of shows. So this section will probably be very varied in the future, but for my first episode, I thought I would tell you about my favorite other knitting content creators. Like I said, I watch a lot of content, including a lot of knitting podcasts. So these are just a few that are coming from my noggin, coming to my mind, that bring me a lot of joy or have been recently. But I think they're all awesome. I really do. I love every single one I watch. So these are just a few that I'm loving right now. My first is Woozy by Celine, not just because we have the same name, different spelling, but also because she is just lovely. I just love the energy she brings to the videos, and I think we have really similar tastes in the things that we like to make and wear, so obviously tons of inspiration from her. She's an Italian knitter, but I believe that she lives in England or London or something in that nature. And so her life is so interesting to me as well, as an American. Yeah, her most recent video, she kind of did like a thing where she would take little snippets just at random parts of her week. So we got to see a little bit of her grocery shopping and other fun stuff like that. I loved it. I also love James N. Watts. It's just like the most like low effort in the best way. So funny, makes me laugh every time, and also what a very impressive person. Violinist, I think also pianist, so cool. I love James's designs. I can't remember if I talked about this already, but they're not always like my exact style, but I love looking at them and all the fun things that people make with them, and how creative they are. I love a Handmade by Florence. Obviously love her patterns, but I just love her videos because she can do anything, especially color work stuff. I'm like, at the end of the day, I think anybody can do anything, to be honest, but what she can do, I don't think I could do, in terms of like how easily she can modify stuff and get so creative. But she seems to be such like she's also so organized. I just think it's so interesting. I love watching her, and she's so calm, and her color palette's always so calm. And I'm a blue girl as well. I love the colors she chooses. And her stuff is always so elevated to me and elegant. And then the last person has come to my brain right now is Knits by Mandy. It feels to me when I'm watching her, I'm just hanging out with a friend. I love her. She's so casual and easy, and I love when she tells me about reality TV, even though I don't watch any reality TV, but then I get to learn about it. I'm excited to see what she knits for her wedding. My little sister is getting married next year, so I might take some inspo for her, because I definitely want to knit my little sister something for her wedding. If you have any pattern ideas, by the way, please let me know. I sent my little sister Mia a bunch of ideas. She did like a single one, so I'm still on the lookout. But I have like a full year almost until she gets married. She's getting married on Pi Day. Isn't that fun? But yeah, that was my knitting podcast. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope I do more of these. I do think I will. This was really fun, even though it was a little weird, to be honest, to sit in my room by myself and talk to my camera, but not anything weirder than other stuff I do. So, yeah, if you liked it, let me know. I asked you for some advice. Please give it to me if you have it, about how much yarn you think I need and etc. I think I asked about dyeing, because I've never done that before, so any tips? Yeah, I have some other video ideas aside from just podcasts, so I might film some of those and post them, but I hope you have a great rest of your day. It's Friday where I am and when I'm filming this, so I hope you have/had a great Friday and or a great weekend, and I hope the weather where you are is getting nice. I suppose in the Southern Hemisphere it's actually the opposite, but maybe it's still nice there. I have no idea. Never been. All right, bye you guys. Thank you so much.